And now for a look at the players who have led these two great teams here to the championship final. The lineups for the University of Maryland. Tom McMillan will be at one forward. He's the all-time leading scorer for the Terrapins, 6'11", a senior from Mansfield, Pennsylvania. The other forward will be Owen Brown, 6'9", junior from LaGrange, Illinois. And Billy, he's helped this team.
Oh, they have not lost a ball game since he's been in the starting lineup. As we said, he's going to be on Thompson tonight.
Len Elmore will be at center, 6'9", senior from Springfield Gardens, New York. He's their all-time champion rebounder, averaging 14.8 this year. And backcourt, one of the best in the country, John Lucas, 6'4", sophomore from Durham, North Carolina.
Stamina is going to be the thing for Lucas tonight. He's performed very well in the first two ball games, and this other guard is going to have to go hard tonight also, Jim.
Mo Howard, number 24, 6'2", sophomore from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Terrapins, of course, coached by Lefty Drizel, who has an overall record of 276 victories and 106 losses. And at Maryland, he has won 73 and lost 16 in the last 89 games. And now for North Carolina State University, ranked number 1 in the nation, the regular season champion. They won 13-0 thus far. At forward is All-American David Thompson, 6'4", junior from Shelby, North Carolina, averaging now 26.1, the scoring champion of the ACC. The other forward's a big fellow, Tim Stoddard, 6'7", junior from Hammond, Indiana.
He had a slow start this year because of baseball, but he's come on very strong and will be on that front line with the big All-American Tommy Burleson.
Tommy Burleson, of course, is 7'4", a senior from Newland, North Carolina, the tallest player in major college basketball. And here's the smallest.
Monty Tao, he's had a great year leading that backcourt for NC State, and he's teamed up with another great one also, Jim.
He's 6'5", a junior from Converse, and this is Mo Rivers, 6'1", a junior from Brooklyn, New York, averaging over 12 points a game. That's the starting lineup for these two teams. And here's the coach of the year in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Norman Sloan, who at North Carolina State has brought the team back to the top of the ACC. He has coached 353 victories in his career. Jim Hernjack and Hank Nichols on your left and right, respectively, will be the two officials here for the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game. Before we bring you more pregame activities from the Greensboro Coliseum, here's an important message. The University of Maryland is appearing in its third consecutive ACC Championship game. No team has ever done that and lost them all three. And you're seeing here two other premier players. This is John Lucas coming out on the fast break. He's one of the best down-court guards in the league, Bill, as a matter of fact, in the country.
Well, this fellow is a great court general, an excellent shooter. Last year, many people thought he should have been the most valuable player in this tournament in a losing cause. Here he comes down the court with his great ball handling ability. And we're going to see him hit Tom McMillan here as he breaks to the hoop against Bobby Jones, who is an excellent defensive player. Lucas hanging in the air, and here comes Tom McMillan down the lane for the shot.
Tom McMillan needs 15 more points to score 1,800 points. He already is the all-time leading scorer in history for the University of Maryland from Mansfield, Pennsylvania. That's quite a 1-2 punch, along with Elmore, giving them three great players. They have won 23 and lost 4 this year, 11-3 in Atlantic Coast Conference play. And in this tournament, they've defeated Duke 85-66 and North Carolina 105-85. Last night, of course, for North Carolina State University, they have one of the truly great players in the history of this league in David Thompson, number 44. And here, North Carolina State against Virginia. And now watch Thompson, 44, taking a pass from Monty Tao. This is the way he can move down floor. He's a tremendous leaper. Thompson, who's averaging over 26 points a game, scored 37 points in this semifinal victory for the Wolfpack. He has averaged about 40 points a game against the University of Maryland. He has been their nemesis, and that is going to be the #1 problem for the Terrapins tonight.
He has been the man that's made the difference in all the big games this year, with the exception of the UCLA game, which was the only loss that NC State has. As we said, Maryland's going to have to really team up with Owen Brown, give him a lot of help on Thompson tonight.
Before the game between the Terrapins and the Wolfpack gets underway, let's take a brief timeout. The Atlantic Coast Conference Championship, of course, has been sold out long before tickets were ever printed, and over 15,000 will be here tonight. Complete sellout. Now here are the lineups being introduced here to the crowd at the Greensboro Coliseum. John Lucas will check them for any late changes. That's Mo Howard, the great backcourt combination for Maryland. Here comes their leading rebounder and the leading rebounder in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Lenny Elmore. Owen Brown, who's given this team a new spark. They're 11-0 since he cracked the lineup. And there's Tom McMillan and the head coach, Lefty Drizel, who sometimes had a very fiery and stormy career, both at Davidson and at Maryland.
Jim, that Maryland ball club looks quietly confident. They look a lot different than they had earlier in the year, and it seems that this streak that they have going for them here lately has given them so much confidence.
Well, here's a team that has tremendous confidence, too. North Carolina State University, coached by Norman Sloan. There's their guards, Mo Rivers and Monty Tao, and here comes the big center, 7'4", Tommy Burleson, a senior. Oh, the pack is really fired up. I think you can tell that. Tim Stoddard is a ponderous forward, and David Thompson, a great All-American, the other forward spot. Another coach, Norman Sloan, a native Hoosier who played for the great Everett Case when North Carolina State in another era was the scourge of basketball in this area and actually gave it its great boost toward the national prominence it enjoys today. So here we come to this moment in 1974 in the ACC, the championship game, and it brings together the two top-ranked teams, State and Maryland. Jimmy Hernjack, the referee, is out to toss it up. Burleson in the white, McMillan in the red. The tip controlled by State. Man for man, that's Stoddard quickly out of the corner. Rebound will be by Lucas, and now Maryland will try it. McMillan has his favorite spot in the corner. Rebound is by Owen Brown inside, and there's the offensive pound of the board for Maryland.
Jim, it looks like Maryland has their legs early here. We were worried about this for the simple reason they played so many minutes in the last two nights. Here's the guy they're trying to handle one-on-one, and he's tough.
David Thompson, Burleson inside. That's the tremendous battle under the boards, and it'll go to North Carolina State. Maryland is conceded to be the strongest rebounding team in the Atlantic Coast Conference, but North Carolina State is a team without weaknesses.
Elmore likes to make this fella go to his left. That time he made Tommy Burleson go to his left with a hook, and Tommy was in a little bit too tight. It wasn't a tough shot for him.
That ties the score at 2-all. Man-for-man defense. Monty Tao putting pressure on Mo Howard. Mo Howard off the glass. And again, Maryland goes to the lead, 4-2. You can tell that both teams are just forcing fast tempos. There's the pass to Thompson. It's going to be North Carolina State's basketball.
Jim, normally a smaller man is playing David Thompson for that alley-oop pass, but he's so perfect at going up on the board and putting in. Now with a guy as big as Owen Brown at 6'9", it makes it a little bit more difficult.
David Thompson, whistle, personal foul is against Owen Brown. That's the first personal foul of the ball game. Owen Brown got David Thompson while he was shooting. We'll get a good look at Thompson here, who has scored 41 points and 39 points in 2 outings against Maryland this year.
Lefty Driesell has all his players this year keeping their hands up, not trying to block jump shots, but merely trying to detract them somewhat. That time we saw the referee indicating the fact that Owen Brown put his hand up, trying to distract David Thompson after the shot had nothing to do with the block. Thompson will try to tie the score at 4. Spence, rebound by Elmore. Maryland leads 4-3. That's McMillan. He has great range. 6-3. Maryland's up by 3 points. The biggest lead of the game by either team. Monty Tao. Rebound McMillan. Jim, an interesting matchup. When Monty Tao has Mo Howard, Howard tries to take him to the hoop with his extreme height advantage there. He has a real asset. Then Elmore on a hook, and Maryland is spurted to a 5-point lead, 8-3. We're in the first 3 minutes. Bo Rivers. And Rivers will follow. North Carolina State is off in its shooting. Maryland's jumped to a 5-point lead in the early going. John Lucas. That's a familiar shot for Lucas. He never leaves his feet on that shot. So kind of an old-fashioned set, but with the one hand. 10-3, 7-point lead Maryland. Look for number 44 to try to take over, Jim. This is what he has done all year long. They'll look for him now because they want a good shot from him. That's David Thompson. Watch him along the baseline in the far corner. Thompson outside.
10-5. 5-point lead. Norman Sloan, you can see, is very much in this game. Here's McMillan off banking. 4 points, McMillan.
Jim, one of the things that State is trying to do is to cut down on Lenny Elmore's long passes after a made score. Last night he hit them so effectively, so they're dropping Burleson down on it.
Here's Lucas with a man down floor. Mo Howard should have a layup. And Maryland leads it by 14-5. 9 points, the biggest lead. Maryland fans have gone into pandemonium already, and we're in the first 4 minutes. Monty Tao outside. Rebound, Maryland. Mo Howard.
Shot selection by NC State has been very poor so far. They're taking many outside shots, not getting into any pattern whatsoever, so no offensive rebounding there.
Here comes Howard down on Lucas. Mo Howard. Mo Rivers. Mo Rivers on Lucas scoring. 14-7. We got the Mo and Mo act tonight, Bill.
We'll watch Mo Howard try to get inside on Monty Tao.
There's Mo Howard. Howard now is hit for 6 points. 16-7 again. Maryland's up by 9. The last team of the Atlantic Coast Conference to beat North Carolina State was Maryland. That was 31 conference games ago. Here's David Thompson. Put up by Mo Rivers. Up by Burleson. Tommy Burleson's tap-in cuts the lead back to 7. 16-9. North Carolina State has shown a couple of strong offensive flurries on the boards. Owen Brown.
That's unusual to see anybody take David Thompson down in the hole, but once again we can point out Owen Brown 6'8" or 6'9", and he has quite an advantage over Thompson.
There's the pass to Thompson, and he is fouled. Foul on Brown will be a second. Thompson gets the basket. That's the play that North Carolina State will be alert to all evening. David Thompson fielding the high pass in midair and scoring. Thompson has 5 points. It's 18-11.
We talk about advantages. Thompson, of course, uses that backdoor move as well as anybody in the country. They like to throw the lob to him. They've been doing it from the corners with Timmy Stoddard. Tonight we noticed that both Mo Rivers and the great little fella out there are trying to get him the ball on the lob.
6 points for Thompson, who has led State in scoring in 19 of their 26 games. 18-12. 6-point lead to the University of Maryland. There goes Howard now, and Tao gets free. That matchup is hurting North Carolina State. Mo Howard has taken advantage. 20-12, an 8-point lead by Maryland. Now here's Thompson on Brown. Mo Rivers. Rebound McMillan. Lucas, and there was a collision. The personal foul is on Mo Rivers. That's the first on North Carolina State. Well, with 14.5 minutes to go in the first half, the clock has stopped at the Greensboro Coliseum with a score, Maryland 20 and North Carolina State 12.
Here we're going to see John Lucas, the great ball-handling guard from the University of Maryland, come down. Another pretty quick man. Mo Rivers tried to make the steal, but he made the foul. So far tonight, I think the real problems for NC State have been the matchup, particularly Monty Tao on Mo Howard, where Mo Howard penetrates and uses the 4 to 5 inches height advantage that he has over Monty Tao to score. And the other one is the fact that Tommy Burleson guarding McMillan. We find McMillan taking him outside, which takes in this case, Burleson away from the basket. They're making a switch right now. Burleson's going to go on Elmore.
All right, 20-12, an 8-point lead by Maryland over North Carolina State. Here goes Lucas inside to Elmore. Thompson blocked it. Elmore's got it. Then Elmore on a follow-up, and there's a personal foul against Tommy Burleson for North Carolina State, and the hustle of Elmore has put Maryland on top by 10, and Elmore will go to the line.
John Lucas on another good penetrating move. He gives it to Elmore, and here you're going to see an unbelievable block. David Thompson at 6'4" going up on Lenny Elmore. Burleson trying to help out, but making the foul.
3-point play for Elmore. He's now over 1,000 points on his career at Maryland, but more importantly, his team is leading by 11, 23-12. The biggest lead. Stoddard to Thompson, batted down this time to Owen Brown. And this is Lucas behind his back on the break. 25-12. Maryland's up by 13.
To say Maryland looks good, Jim, is quite an understatement. This is the way they played against Carolina last night. Beautiful block by Elmore.
And they're calling goaltending. They call goaltending on Elmore on the block, and the reason is that Burleson, when he hooks, Bill, he's hooking it downward.
When he is that close to the basket, the referee has to assume the ball's on its downward flight. Elmore wasn't upset at all, though.
Owen Brown. 25-14, Maryland by 11, State on the move. There's Thompson. They're always looking. Now the steal by Rivers. State with 4 straight points. It's pulled back within 9. A chance to cut it down to 7. Thompson.
We notice anytime Thompson shoots, Owen Brown goes up for the jumper and then breaks long, trying to get that long pass in case he misses.
9-point lead by Maryland. Here's Howard inside. McMillan hooks. Tom McMillan was 6. 27-16. These teams have such great striking forces from every position.
Timmy Stotter's trying to play behind McMillan, and as we've seen McMillan over the years, he has great individual moves in the pivot.
There's Burleson going up, and he's fouled by Elmore. Personal on Elmore is the first. Burleson will go to the line. This may be another strength on strength, Bill, that we'll see here. Burleson taking it to Elmore.
Lenny Elmore has decided to play behind Tom Burleson. We've watched this down through the years now. He's made that decision. He plays behind and tries to force Tommy Burleson to go to his left. That time Burleson was able to get the inside position on the power move. We'll see him right here. When he got the inside position, Lenny was where he did not want to be.
Back live now for the second free throw. Phil Spence walks. Now may be fouled. And he was by Lucas. John Lucas, first personal foul. Maryland now has picked up 4 team fouls. North Carolina State 2. Lefty Drizel talking with Dave Pritchett. And Joe Harrington, his 2 assistant coaches. 11-point lead for Maryland, 27-16.
State's going more and more to Burleson on the inside, and it looks like he wants to take it on. 8
points now for the big fellow, 7-4, Tommy Burleson. 27-18, back to a 9-point edge. Maryland on top.
Mismatch on the inside for McMillan with Mo Rivers, a good switchback by Spence.
And it goes to McMillan, batted out. Maryland will put it in play under the Terrapin basket. 12 minutes to go in the first half.
That was excellent heads-up defense by Mo Rivers and Phil Spence as they made the switchback after they had a mismatch with Tom McMillan.
And here goes Mo Howard. The ball got away from him on the drive. He had beaten his man. Now State comes down, a chance to pull within 7. 12 minutes to go, a little less in the first half. That is Burleson.
Just as we said, Jim, Tommy Burleson goes right. He makes it very difficult for Len Elmore due to that size.
Owen Brown. Great drive by Brown. Maryland goes back up by 9, 29-20. 11 and a half to go in the first half. And a tremendous first quarter of this championship playoff between North Carolina State and Maryland. There's Burleson, left side. Elmore on the rebound.
Jim, one of the things State's trying to do right now, they saw how hard Maryland worked last night. State's trying to force this tempo to wear Maryland down. They know that they had to play hard against Carolina and against Duke. They're going to try to see if they can make them go as hard as possible.
Rebound by Tommy Burleson for North Carolina State. Was deflected out by Maryland. It'll be North Carolina State's ball. Norman Sloan, who's the ACC Coach of the Year, has directed his team now to 31 consecutive victories in this very tough conference, the Atlantic Coast.
State was shooting from the outside, something Norm Sloan wanted to take away a little bit, so he's forcing him to throw the ball on into Burleson and making the Maryland team collapse.
David Thompson. 10 points now for Thompson. 29-22. Maryland's up by 7. Owen Brown on Thompson. Great move by Brown. And Brown has been successful against David Thompson on the inside. 31-22. Maryland by 9. Thompson outside. Rebound, Elmore. Just saw the two leading rebounders in Maryland history that time going up together. Elmore and McMillan. McMillan. We've said before, yes, that's tremendous touch for a big man. 6'11", 33-22. Maryland's back to an 11-point lead. They've led by as much as 13. Monty Tao.
Monty loves that three-point effort out there, and he has amazing range for a little fellow. We've seen it all year long.
Mo Howard is fouled by Tao. First personal on Monty Tao, the third team foul against North Carolina State, and the clock is stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum. With the score, Maryland 33 and North Carolina State 24. Now a word from the company that helps you through life.
Here we're going to see Timmy Stoddard, a fellow who's made a habit of this fine lob pass. With his size at 6'7", he's able to get the perfect arc to David Thompson, who times it well. It's a play that we've seen so many times this year.
And it's 33-24, 9-point lead for Maryland over State at this moment. Now, Bill, look at the other play.
We're going to see a good feed to Owen Brown. Owen Brown has taken David Thompson inside. Good pump fake in there. Got David committed up over the top and went inside. You know, Owen Brown did not start the earlier part of the season. A guy by the name of Tom Roy, who was considered one of the best high school prospects in the country a few years ago, and who was playing very well for Maryland. Since Owen's been in there, it's been a new ball club.
Well, they've won 11 in a row without a loss.
Maryland working very well out of that double stack offense of theirs, trying to isolate Tom McMillan over there for his one-on-one maneuvers.
Now Lucas was getting a little bit of trouble.
Surprisingly, David Thompson's taking an early rest here, Jim. It's something we haven't seen very much of.
Elmore put up by Howard. Pulled down by Tim Stoddard for State. So David Thompson taking a rest in the first quarter. Under now to Spence. Bill Spence for North Carolina State. Cuts it to 7. 33-26 Maryland.
You can see in Norm Sloan's thinking, he says Maryland can't possibly keep playing as hard as they've been playing the last two nights.
Outside by Lucas. Rebound to get by North Carolina State. Tommy Burleson. State now will try to cut it to 5. Monty Tao. Crashing in, Tommy Burleson foul. That's the second personal foul on Tommy Burleson. And, of course, what North Carolina State's Norman Sloan does not want is a third foul on Burleson here in the first half.
And he doesn't want Monty Tao to come down and take 30-footers either when they have the momentum going very well. And he got off the bench to let Monty know that exact fact just a second ago.
Lucas under beautifully to Brown. What a feed by John Lucas to Owen Brown. And there's one of the great improvements in Lucas this year. He's learned his role as a playmaker as well as a scorer. Bill Spence. Spence gets a whistle on McMillan. That's the first personal foul on Tom McMillan. 5 team fouls against Maryland, 4 against North Carolina State. Bill Spence, who didn't start this game, is a sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina, has scored 2 points thus far. Played in junior college ranks at Vincennes, Indiana, was an All-American.
Jim, he's the second fellow from the state of North Carolina that left this state to go up to Vincennes and then return. The other one, of course, Bobby McAdoo, who right now is one of the great basketball players in the NBA.
North Carolina State has had some cold free throw shooting, hitting only 2 out of 7. Mo Howard getting into a jam and winds up out of bounds, but Maryland will have possession. Monty Tao actually took the ball out. As a whistle, personal foul on Tao. He was holding Mo Howard. Illegal use of the hands, which is a rule they've clamped down on this year.
Jim, and Monty Tao really is laboring, taking care of Mo Howard. Mo Howard is not only listed at 6'3", but he has the long arms and plays very well on the inside. Monty Tao at 5'6" has his hands full anytime Mo gets within 15 feet.
Tom McMillan.
There's that double low situation again with McMillan isolated on the side. He loves that position. You have to play him tight out there.
37-26. Maryland's back on top by 11. Goes Mo Rivers to Burleson. Tommy Burleson banking in. Burleson's having a sensational first half with 12 points thus far. We still have over 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go till halftime. 37-28. Here's McMillan again. Rebound Thompson. David Thompson. That's 12 points for Thompson. So Burleson and Thompson combined for 24 of the 30 North Carolina State points. Maryland leads 37-30. Outside Lucas. Rebound is by Elmore, who hooks. 7 points Elmore. 39-30. Maryland by 9.
Tony Elmore almost lost that one in his hands. And there we see Norm Sloan standing up on that shot saying no, no. And little Monty Taus threw it in, another one of those 25-foot plus shots.
And Norman said yes, yes. We'll take those. Here's Mo Howard. Back, and now North Carolina State has a chance to cut it to 5. 39-32. Monty Taus lets it go. There's a whistle, and he is fouled by Lucas.
Jim, one of the things I noticed that time down the floor, here we see Lefty Drizel standing up. It's the first time that it looked like Elmore and Brown had the heavy legs coming back down floor.
Right now, the clock has been stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with a score. Maryland 39 and North Carolina State 32. Philly Packer John Lucas said he had learned his role more now, that he is looking for his teammates.
Well, he is. He still has the great penetrating ability. You see him going up the last minute, spying the inside there. Owen Brown going up beautifully. You have to give Lucas a lot of credit. He has been able to transform from a streak scorer and a fellow who had to have the ball at all times to a guy now who scores his points, takes about 5 fewer shots a game, gets just as many points as he had before, but gets everybody else in the ball game offensively. It's really helped the Maryland ball club.
Play resumes with Monty Taus. Now you want to watch, you can take a lesson here in conserving time. Monty Taus wastes no time at all. Once he gets the ball, he lets it go.
Jim, I talked about the heavy legs. Certainly this is something that concerns the Maryland people. The way they played last night against the University of North Carolina, I believe they could have beaten anybody in the country. They have to come out and be called upon to do the same thing again tonight. NC State did not have to do that, drawing the bye and then playing Virginia last night. And quite a bit of difference between the two clubs and as far as physical stamina is concerned.
However, Lefty Drizel maintains that that'll be no problem for his team, that it works just as hard in practice as they do in playing a game every day, and they're accustomed to it. The hook by Elmore. Rebound will go to Owen Brown for Maryland. Quite a battle for it. State's going to get it. Tommy Burleson on the floor. 39-33. Maryland's lead is 6. State has cut it into it. And now they're looking to get closer, of course. Here's Burleson with a good fake. Burleson with his 14th point of the half. And it's 39-35. And State, once trailing by 13, has come back to within 4.
The change of the matchup has helped NC State considerably, too. With Burleson and Elmore, it keeps him closer to the basket. Timmy Stoddard, the one now going out to handle McMillan.
Under to Mo Howard. That was the Howard versus Taus again situation for Maryland. Terrapins go back up by 6, 41-35. David Thompson has it. Thompson driving. And it's kicked out of bounds by Tommy Burleson. Maryland will take over with a 6-point lead. 4:56 to go in the first half. 2 subs in are number 30, Phil Smith, returning for North Carolina State. And number 40 in for the first time is Mark Moeller, 6'3" junior from Kenfield, Ohio, for North Carolina State.
And, Jim, to compensate for all of that activity Maryland's had, they've got some great gut players out there. I think we have some of the finest athletes that have ever been in the conference, both mentally and physically, and here's one of the best right here.
John Lucas, they cleared out for him on that weak side. But Phil Spence was there to get it. Again, State can pull within 4. Mo Rivers. (41-37), a 4-point lead by Maryland. Lenny Elmore, beautiful move inside. But State's got it. David Thompson. North Carolina State will look now to pull within 2 points for the basket.
With Burleson out of the game, they went back to their outside shooting. Not unusual because they have some fine shooters out there.
That's David Thompson. 14 points for Thompson, who took it in. And it's 41-39. Maryland's lead is down to 2 points. Terrapins were once up by 13 here in the first half. But State has come back. They're screening for McMillan, who lost it. North Carolina State now has a chance to tie it.
Jim, Maryland needs a timeout. I see Lefty wants that timeout right now. He's going to call it. He needs to settle his ball club down.
3.5 minutes to go in the first half. The clock has stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with the score, Maryland 41 and North Carolina State 39. Now you can see the excitement here, racing through a crowd of 15,450. The packed power of North Carolina State. Look again here at David Thompson, the way he takes it in, Bill.
Well, you're going to see Thompson pull off the rebound against two bigger foes and go up over Lenny Elmore, a shot that many people say, well, he dunked the ball. David took it up into the hoop, and he does this anytime there's a chance it might be blocked, figuring if anybody gets a hand on it, it'll be a good basket.
41-39, a 2-point lead by the University of Maryland. State has come roaring back. They picked up 11 points of their deficit. Now they can tie it. They've got David Thompson with the ball right there. Keep your eye on him.
He's the fellow they'd like to have to take this very important shot right here.
There he is. Thompson gets a whistle. The foul's on Owen Brown, and that's the third personal foul on Owen Brown in the first half.
We're going to see, Jim, this is a set play, of course. You'll see Timmy Stoddard fake the ball as Thompson fakes across the lane and then makes the good backdoor cut. Now, this is something they work on. It doesn't happen by accident. Of course, you can only do it with a super player. We saw Walton use it last year in the great performance against Memphis State. Thompson is copying again this year. Big substitution right here, Jim. We see Tom Roy coming in, a guy who really had his problems trying to handle David Thompson an earlier go.
All right, Thompson. Already tonight has scored 15 points. We have over 3 minutes to go in the first half. This would be his 16th if he makes it. Stoddard. And North Carolina State leads for the first time, 42-41.
John Lucas to try to bring him back right here. He's the kind of guy that likes to go one-on-one in this situation.
That's Lucas, and Maryland is back on top. It was John Lucas who was determined to get the basket, 43-42. Maryland on top, still man for man. Lucas is there to tie up Mark Moeller. Moeller lost his footing, and Norman Sloan, who's been moving his players in and out of the lineup, going to the bench more.
Jim, those people who watched the game last night saw Norman Sloan very quiet and peaceful on that bench during the first half. And we know that his emotions change a great deal in the course of a ball game. He is ready to go from the opening whistle tonight, as is that guy down the other end of the floor, a great coach, Lefty Drizel.
Tip control to David Thompson for North Carolina State. 1-point lead by Maryland. A great steal by Lucas. Lucas and Maryland goes up by 3.
You'll see a substitution coming up here with Monty Tao back in there for Mark Moeller because they can't afford to let Lucas take over defensively as he has.
There was a steal, and it was a palming violation before the steal. That might have been a lucky break for North Carolina State because Maryland had a break set up. 3-point lead by Maryland, 45-42. Now they've got McMillan inside on the pivot. They try to go to him. It's deflected out. It'll be Maryland's ball.
We have Mo Rivers down on the floor. I don't know if he got hit in the face, but he really went down hard, and it looks like he's seriously hurt.
Herman Bunch, the trainer off the North Carolina State bench, comes out, and he's looking over Mo Rivers, who's holding his face.
I believe what happened, and we probably be able to pick this up later, but when he had that ball going in between 2 or 3 players, it's quite possible that he either caught an elbow or a knee trying to reach down to pick up the ball. We'll have to see it later.
A 3-point lead right here. Monty Tao goes over to talk with his coach, Norman Sloan. He wants, Sloan wants Tao to talk with one of the officials, Jim Hernjack, about what might have happened out there. Rivers is going to leave the lineup. Monty Tao comes back in it to replace him. All right, Maryland's ball. Into McMillan. McMillan, blocked out by Thompson, will be goaltender.
Now, that was a great play to watch from the standpoint of the spectators, but probably not a very wise move by David Thompson. He was too far away from the shooter to go up to block that one.
47-42. Here goes Thompson.
And he knows that he can take Tom Roy, and he's going to do it every time he has his hands on the ball.
47-44, a 3-point lead with the University of Maryland. Lynn Elmore inside. Now the teams are really hitting, and there's a personal foul on Tom Roy.
Good call.
Basket by Elmore will count, but Roy draws the personal foul, and it's past the bonus. That's the 8th team foul, which means North Carolina State will go to the line.
That was a good call by the official. One of the things that you see a good official do, and that's off-the-ball type calls. Hank Nichols is an excellent official, did a good job right there. We know that Tom Roy is a violent type basketball player. When he comes in there, fists are going to fly, heads are going to fly, and he's just that kind of guy, very aggressive.
We just saw Tom with a spread eagle demonstration to Hank Nichols of why he didn't commit the foul. Hank said, it's already in the books, Tom. We saw you. David Thompson on the 1-and-1. Let's take a look at it.
Well, he won't want to see this instant replay. Of course, you see right there, it looks like Thompson might have thrown him down.
All right, bonus shot by Thompson back live. Thompson incredibly has 19 points now here in the first half. It's 49-46, but Maryland's leading by 3. Minute and a half to go, first half. McMillan with those quick moves. Tom McMillan with his 14th point of the half. 51-46. Maryland's up by 5. Terrapins have settled down again. Tommy Burleson out of the lineup. Outside by David Thompson. Put up by Stoddard. Blocked by Elmore, and a foul on Elmore. Second personal foul on Lynn Elmore. A body block demonstrates Hank Nichols. Lenny thought it was a good block, Bill.
I think you'll find, if we have that one on replay, that Lenny did get a good piece of the ball that time. What Hank Nichols said is he got him with his body. Of course, the official makes the call, and he's the guy that's the boss out there.
Well, let's look, Bill.
We're going to see it. There's some great rebounding in here by everybody. He did make a pretty clean block as far as I'm concerned. I think Lenny probably had a pretty good gripe.
Looked pretty good. The 2 free throws missed, as you saw, and Maryland has it again with a 5-point lead, 51-46. Now here's Elmore, and he's hot, and he's fouled by Stoddard. No question about that one. Stoddard had him across the arms. First personal on Tim Stoddard. That's the 16th foul, and since Elmore was shooting, he'll draw 2. Watch it.
These are 2 pretty strong basketball players going on each other right there, and it'd take a man like Timmy Stoddard to keep Lenny Elmore down off the ground.
All right, back live. Elmore draws 2. Maryland's up by 5.
You know, Jim, a block like Elmore made down the court the last time is something that last year, if they called a foul on him, it'd make him very upset. He might go a minute and a half without giving any production. This year, he has really grown up on the court, been in terrific shape, and I think, as Walton said, he's the best center he's played against all year.
Well, there's the pass to Thompson, and he is fouled by Roy. And this time, Tom agrees. Second personal foul on Roy. Thompson goes back to the line. And with Owen Brown sideline with 3 personal fouls, North Carolina State is really gone now to David Thompson, figuring that Tom Roy is not the match for him in quickness.
One of the things you have to give Maryland credit for, though, ever since they had this substitution, they've been able to build somewhat on their lead. So I think Lefty Driesell is very satisfied with the fact that his team on the offensive end of the court have been able to keep their momentum going very well.
21 points in the first half for David Thompson. We have seen neither team press to any extent tonight, and one of the reasons why, both are experts at working against the press. There are 45 seconds to go. Maryland might try for 1 shot here or look for a very good one, and the good one is by McMillan.
Well, you know, that wasn't what Lefty had in mind. He wanted one shot and one shot only, but I don't think McMillan got the instruction. And if you ever want a guy to take one shot, McMillan from the corner is a pretty good one to take.
7-point lead by Maryland, 55-48, 25 seconds to go on the half. State looking for a very good shot here. Batted down, but Monty Tao recovers. 15 seconds. To Thompson. Monty Tao up over Elmore.
When you're used to shooting the ball over everybody, it doesn't make any difference if they're 5'9" or 6'9", and that time Monty Tao threw that one all the way to the top of the backboard.
Tom Roy from midcourt and down floor. No action as time has run out here, and you're watching North Carolina State, the nation's #1 ranked team, leave the court here at halftime, trailing by 5 points to Lefty Drizel's Maryland Terrapins at the halftime of the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game. And that is the end of the first half of tonight's ACC Championship game. The score is Maryland 55, North Carolina State 50. David Thompson. So Tommy Burleson has been lagging back there all evening, and that time he became a force.
Well, Jim, there was a situation where a good pivot move by McMillan would have got him out of trouble. He wanted to throw the ball, but he didn't pivot around against Tommy Burleson and eventually lost it.
And here's Burleson breaking in. So Burleson, who set up the tie ball, gets the basket to cut the lead of Maryland down to 3, 55-52.
You see a zone defense for the first time tonight. Tommy Burleson playing the back of the 2-3. We'll see if NC State stays with it.
Here's Thompson on a drive to Monty Tao. North Carolina State has come back to get the first 4 points of the second half, but it's 55-51. Maryland's lead down to 1 point.
State goes back man-to-man, Jim, and he just tried to give a different look to Maryland that time down the floor.
Here's McMillan getting inside against Burleson. Tom McMillan got the edge on Burleson. 57-54. David Thompson tied up by Lucas. The jump will be at the North Carolina State free throw line.
Let's give credit to Lucas, the great athlete that he is. He anticipated where that pass was going to go. Even though Thompson is not his man, he was over there and came up with the good tie-up of David Thompson.
David Thompson up to get it again. And Stoddard. Tim Stoddard for North Carolina State. Again pulls the Wolfpack within 1. 57-56. There's a jump ball. The University of Maryland might not have the zip they had at the outset.
Well, I don't know about that, Jim. I think they're going to play on guts for the last 20 minutes, and I think a coach can ask that of his ball club. Now, whether or not they're physically worn down, we'll just have to wait and see, but they'll play on guts the rest of the way in, you can be sure.
All right, there's Lucas with the advantage against Tao, and the tip's going to be controlled out of the Rivers of North Carolina State, and Tao to follow. North Carolina State goes in the lead, 59-57.
Lefty may want another timeout. His team is rattled somewhat. They've gotten off to a rocky start here in the second half, and Lefty wants them to calm down.
Lead now has changed hands 3 times. Another turnover. Mo Rivers down on Mo Howard. Stay with his biggest lead, 60-57, and Lefty does want timeout in the first 3 minutes of the second half. So the clock is stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with the score. North Carolina State 60 and Maryland 57.
We're going to see John Lucas with the ball right here, Jim, and he is a good penetrator. If ball gets hit by Mo Rivers, Monty Tao sees the opening, and he hits Mo on the way down. You'll see Mo Howard come up with an excellent defensive play here, only to be offset by a great offensive play by Rivers. 2 of the best guards in the conference, kind of unheralded, but I think that they could play on any team in the country.
3-point lead by North Carolina State as we come back to live action with Maryland. McMillan inside. Elmore on Burleson. Lenny Elmore powers in. 13 points for Elmore. 60-59. North Carolina State's up by a point. Early in the second half. Tommy Burleson over Elmore.
That was an incredible shot by Tommy Burleson. Elmore was doing the good body move on him defensively, but Tommy came up with a half hook. We don't see him take that shot very often, but he had a good soft touch on it.
State back to a 3-point lead. We've played 3 minutes of the second half. Owen Brown. Well, Brown has come back off the bench with his 3 personal fouls. Has cut it to 1 again. 62-61 State. Here's Burleson with the right-hand hook, and goaltending on Elmore. Burleson scored 22, and Hefty goes into his shuffle act.
That one really upset him, and once again, we want to take our hats off to Lenny Elmore. He is a guy that has really got his mind on his game. Last year, that would have really upset him. This year, he just goes back down the court and gives Maryland another super job.
Steal by Mo Rivers. The defensive play of the guards for State making a big difference. Elmore with the rebound. Maryland comes down again, trailing by 3, 64-61. Mo Howard with room. Rebound, Burleson.
Jim, NC State's quickness is really starting to tell on Maryland right now. You can see them getting in a little better rebounding position each time. Maryland's big men are having a hard time getting up and down the floor.
They tried to throw it over Elmore, who that time was front guarding Bill, so it moved around in front of Burleson, a switch in his first half strategy. Out of bounds play for North Carolina State. Phil Spence is coming it forward, replacing Stoddard. David Thompson. A great stop-and-go action of Thompson. 23 points. He had 21 in the first half. 66-61. A 5-point lead by North Carolina State is their biggest of the game.
Here we have a mismatch again on the inside. A good job by Tom McMillan shielding his man. He got Mo Rivers out of there completely. Rivers got hit in the face again, and Jim, I'm not so sure Mo Rivers hasn't received a broken nose. He's a little bit dazed out there. Real good screen and roll move by Tom McMillan as he got open that time.
And, of course, it left Lucas unguarded. He cut it back to 3 at 66-63 in favor of North Carolina State. State's won this championship 7 times. Maryland's won it only once. A steal by Lucas. Here's Lucas on Monty Tao. Great drive by Lucas. A 1-point lead, 66-65.
We notice Owen Brown staying off David Thompson another step or two right now. He doesn't want Thompson to penetrate and get the short jumper. He figures if they're going to take the shot, make him shoot it outside.
Monty Tao penetrating, draws the foul on Mo Howard. Up, yes it is, Mo Howard. Lucas, both Howard and Lucas came up with their hands, but it's on Howard, his first.
Jim, one of the things last night that Maryland did as well as any club I've ever seen is get the long pass all the way down the court for the fast break. It really upset the University of North Carolina. Tonight, I'd say that NC State's guards are using excellent judgment in the fact that they're staying back there and not allowing Maryland to get that pass.
Here's the man down floor is Mo Howard. Howard with Rivers.
That's exactly the play we're talking about, Jim. That time we saw Mo Rivers penetrate a little too far, and when he did, Lucas and Howard took advantage of it.
Maryland has gone back in the lead, 67-66. Now it's Burleson on Elmore. Elmore took it away. Personal foul is against Owen Brown. So Tommy Burleson stayed down to protest, and he got an elbow from Owen Brown. Burleson may be hurt. He's still on the floor. That's the 4th foul on Owen Brown. A costly one for Maryland.
Jim, the people are booing out here right now. I see that we are going to have a timeout on the floor, and we'll have to get the call.
So the clock is stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with the score, Maryland 67 and North Carolina State 66. Now a word from the company that helps you through life. Now a flurry of action here, Bill, and this could be a key moment in the game.
You can see an excellent block by Lenny Elmore. Now, Owen Brown gets tied up. Actually, he walked right here. Now he hits Tom Burleson. Burleson goes down. That looked like a knockout blow right there, and we see Tommy Burleson on the ground. Owen Brown was just trying to get himself loose, and he did have a violation prior to the foul, and actually I'm sure Lefty would rather have had the violation called because that brings up number 4 on Owen Brown, and if that were to be a real problem for the University of Maryland if he had to go out of the ball game. We see Tom Roy in for him right now, and that means that we can look for David Thompson to go 1-1 as much as possible.
All right, so Roy is in. Brown is to go back to the bench with 4 fouls with 14 and a half minutes to go. 1 point lead by Maryland, 67-66. They go into Burleson. Tommy Burleson takes it in, and State goes back in the lead, 68-67.
That move is hard to appreciate enough because he put the ball on the floor, something a big man doesn't want to do that close to the basket, but was still able to get off the shot.
Now here's McMillan in close, setting up Lucas. Rebound McMillan for follow. Tom McMillan sends Maryland back on top, 69-68, and the lead's changed 6 times now.
As great a career he's had for Maryland, Jim, I think he has played his best ball here in the last month of the season.
One-point lead by Maryland as the Terrapins come to the attack, 69-68. North Carolina stays still man for man. Maryland in that low double stack. Outside by Lucas. Tipped up by McElmore in a sensational fashion. Then Elmore over his back. Tapped it in. 71-68, Maryland by 3.
We said Maryland would play on guts, and they really are doing an excellent job keeping the lead.
Tommy Burleson facing the basket. He normally plays with his back to the basket. Tommy showed his versatility, cutting the Maryland lead to 1, 71-70 with 13 minutes to go. Kenneth Elmore broken up by Mo Rivers. Now State has a chance to recapture the lead, trailing by a point. They'll go to Thompson.
Thompson committed himself a little bit too soon that time on Tom Roy.
That was a good steal by Lucas, and he feeds to Mo Howard. Maryland's up by 3, 73-70. This tense battle continues here between 2 of the nation's top teams, number 1, number 4. Mo Rivers from the side. Lucas spotting Howard. Mo Howard. Again, they've made that quick break twice in a row, and Maryland goes up by 5, 75-70.
Jim, that's that floor balance we talked about. They used it so well last night. NC State was doing a good job with it, but they've fallen asleep in the last 2 occasions. Maryland really took advantage of it.
Monty Tao from downtown, his 13th point. Again to Mo Howard. That's 3 in a row. Howard is just beating Tao down court, 77-72. Maryland back to a 5-point lead. Here goes Tao breaking, feeding into Burleson. Burleson behind his back, lays it in. 28 points for Tommy Burleson, 77-74. I've never seen these 2 teams fight harder, Bill.
A great activity under the basket that time. Lenny Elmore is playing as hard as he can.
That's Tom Roy, who's come off the bench, and Roy gets on the act. 79-74. Maryland back up by 5 with 11 minutes to go. To Thompson. The basket won't go, but he's fouled by Roy. 3 personal fouls on Tom Roy. So you might say that Thompson has registered 7 personal fouls against Maryland. 4 with Brown guarding him, and now 3 on Roy.
Jim, we ought to say something about this fast break that Maryland's been getting and using so well in the tournament. What they're doing is any time a backcourt man either penetrates or takes the long jumper, they're releasing the guard who's playing defense on that man. Therefore, they're getting wide open down at the other end of the court. If the other guard does not take up the slack and help out a little bit defensively, that man is wide open.
3-point lead by Maryland, 79-76. David Thompson has scored 25 points. McMillan with a great drive, and Burleson blocks. Tommy Burleson dropped off his man, Elmore, covered the lanes and blocked the shot beautifully. Maryland up by 3. Elmore driving in, charges. That's the third foul against Elmore. Ball control foul. North Carolina State will get the ball trailing by 3. The fouling situation now going against Maryland, and there's a timeout call. The clock has been stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with the score, Maryland 79 and North Carolina State 76.
You're going to see Monty Tao probably penetrate a little bit further than he'd like to. Burleson comes up with a great play here, keeping the ball alive. Elmore in tough, makes the great block, and we're going to see Burleson come back, get the ball and shoot an over-the-head shot, putting it in. That was some flurry of activity, Jim.
Well, you almost have to be 7-4, Bill, to make that play, as Burleson did. There's Maryland coming out. They've played almost without relief. Now here's the other play at the other end.
Good block, of course. Nice defense by Phil Spence. A good penetration move by Tom McMillan. Burleson blocking the ball out of bounds.
North Carolina State now back to the live action. Will have the ball trailing by 3, 79-76 in favor of Maryland. State will try to cut it to a point. They have David Thompson against Tom Roy.
At this point, Roy is doing an excellent job on Thompson, being very active, and David has his hands full so far, trying to get a good shot off.
Rebound by Lynn Elmore. Maryland up by 3, 79-76. Lucas on a penetration drive. Rebound Burleson. Again, State has a chance to cut it down to 1. There's Thompson driving and a whistle. That basket won't count. There was a charging foul on David Thompson. Ball control, says Hank Nichols. That's the first foul of this half against North Carolina State. Maryland has committed 4.
Jim, I can't say enough for Tom Roy. His defensive play on the great David Thompson has been excellent. He is keeping him outside, making him commit himself a little earlier than he wants, and he's getting help, of course, from Len Elmore anytime there's penetration.
There was a holding foul by Spence, so 2 quick ones now on North Carolina State. They have now 2 of the half. Maryland 4. Time remaining 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Score Maryland 79, North Carolina State 76. Winner of this game will play Furman in the NCAA Regional Tournament. They're hitting McMillan low here against Spence. Tom McMillan. Rebound Mo Rivers. Rivers goes to the floor and he's tied up. Tied up by Mo Howard.
I was almost going to ask on that one, Jim, where did Mo Rivers think he was going? He had to penetrate through the entire Maryland club, and none of his players had yet crossed half court.
Like Richard Petty. Out of bounds to North Carolina State. Now let's look again. Watch him cut.
You can see him. He's the lead man on down there. David Thompson being well covered, so there was really no place to go.
Back live we come now. Here's Burleson in the low post on Elmore. Burleson. 30 points for Tommy Burleson. 79-77. 78. A 1-point lead by Maryland. 9 minutes to go. Mo Howard in low again on Monty Tao as they go back to that tactic, and Mo Howard has scored 20 points, the pride of Philadelphia. He was player of the year there as a high school star. 3-point lead by Maryland. Maryland almost zone defensing it here with packing in. Burleson hooking again on Elmore.
Jim, and this fellow didn't make all conference. I'll tell you, we might have a conference team out there of guys that are going to be #1 pro picks. That Burleson looks tremendous tonight.
There's Mo Howard, and tipped up by Elmore, pulled out by Spence. State now can take the lead, trailing by a point. Tommy Burleson. Personal foul underneath is against Spence for pushing away. Second personal foul on Spence. Maryland will get the ball, leading by a single point, 81-80. Norman Sloan, who's of course, was 1973's National Coach of the Year by one national publication and was voted to the Indiana Silver Anniversary Hall of Fame this past year. Right now, he has all his attention on this game. Long one by Lucas. Maryland's up by 3. 83-80 with 8 minutes and 8 seconds to go. Tommy Burleson, who scored 32 points in this game thus far in low. Monty Tao from the outside. Shooting has just been phenomenal. 50% for State in the first half, 63.4% for Maryland. Lucas driving. 16 points for John Lucas, 85-82. Both coaches down to a knee now at the sidelines. Here's David Thompson on Tom Roy. Thompson. And Tommy Burleson for his 34th point. No. Rebound Elmore. Now it's Lucas on Tao. Lucas beats him.
Absolutely beautiful play, and there was that outlet pass by Elmore. We see NC State probably not getting off good shot selection, and once again, let's point out the fact that Roy is really doing a job.
Tommy Burleson inside. Burleson now with 34 points. He's scored 17 field goals. Well, let's see, correct that. He has 16 field goals, 32 points. And Tom Elmore spinning. Rebound David Thompson. North Carolina State's trailing by 3 as they come down. Long one by Thompson.
That was Thompson's first 2 points since Roy came into the game, and I think that's been the real key for Maryland so far, being able to keep their lead.
Back to a 1-point lead goes Maryland, 87-86. 6.5 minutes to go. Elmore in close. Tremendous play. You're seeing now why these two teams have been ranked number 1 and number 4 by the coaches and reporters. David Thompson from 25 feet. Phil Spence races it down. North Carolina State, another chance to cut it to 1, trailing by 3. Just incredible pace here, Bill. It's unbelievable that they could maintain this type of a pace, yet they are. Weak side drive by Monty Tao. Broken up by Roy, but there's a whistle. Down to the floor goes Tommy Burleson. The foul's on Tom Roy, and Roy has 4. So that position has 8 fouls for the University of Maryland, and with 5:52 to go in the ball game, the clock has been stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum. The scores, Maryland 89 and North Carolina State 86.
We're going to see John Lucas right here coming down the court. He beats Mo Rivers and then takes on Tom Burleson. And even though they know he's left-handed, he sneaks it up on in there, Jim. He has an uncanny ability to go to the hoop.
Lucas has scored 18 points in this game. And the man he drove by there, Tommy Burleson, has scored 32 for North Carolina State. David Thompson, on the other hand, has scored 27. Tom McMillan also is over 20. He has exactly 20. So does Mo Howard.
Jim, a big thing, of course, for the University of Maryland, they have to look at the clock, 5:52 to go. They've got Owen Brown now coming into the game for Tom Roy. Owen Brown has 4 fouls on him. Tom Roy has 4 on him. So Lefty is going to have to try to use both of these fellas and hope that neither one of them foul out of the ball game.
So Owen Brown is back in with 5:52 to go. And his chief replacement, Tom Roy, has gone to the sidelines also with 4.
Roy's defensive performance could have been the key to the basketball game while he was in there. He did a great job on David Thompson, holding the 2 points in about 10 minutes.
3-point lead here by University of Maryland. Now against the man-for-man, a lot of team movement. There's Howard breaking it up, and Maryland will get the ball on the play of Mo Howard. Owen Brown will take it cold off the bench, and State comes up with it. Lefty Drizel, I'm sure, was shouting there to Owen, don't shoot it, David Thompson. North Carolina State has cut it back to 1, 89-88 with 5:15 remaining.
Both coaches on their knees right now, Jim, and they're really shouting encouragement out there to both teams.
The steal by North Carolina State, and it's going to be Spence going in, blocked out by Lucas. The whistle on the play. They may have had a foul on Lucas, but he broke up the play. 89-88. Maryland leading by 1. Look again.
You're going to see Monty go for the steal. He doesn't get the steal, but he creates the ball handling mistake by Mo Howard. And there we're going to see the handoff coming up right here. Spence hustling. and then John Lucas with that tremendous athletic ability coming in and making the block. It was a foul, however. He probably just came across the top.
All right, up the line. 2 shots now to Spence. He could change the lead in the game. His team is trailing by 1 point. That ties it. This could put North Carolina State ahead.
Jim, once again, the shot that you have the man coming off the bench, you hope he doesn't take. Owen Brown taking that short jumper out there, and I'm sure Lefty would like him to get a little loose before he starts shooting the jumpers.
Only the second time in this game the score has been tied. It was tied at 2-all. Lucas driving through, blocked by Burleson. And here's Mo Rivers again with Mo Howard. Howard with a great block. And they're calling goaltending. Lefty Driesell is beside himself, but it's goaltending against Howard. Mo Rivers gets the basket. And North Carolina State is broken on top 91-89. And North Carolina State calls timeout with 4:41 to go. The clock is stopped here at the Greensboro Coliseum with the score. North Carolina State 91 and Maryland 80.
I think that their ball club has put on probably the best 3-game performance in the history of the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament. Whatever's going to happen in the next 4 minutes and 41 seconds, not going to take that away from my mind. Here you're going to see a steal once again as Burleson goes up with the block. And now we're going to see a great 6'3" backcourt combination, Rivers and Howard, and I thought it was a pretty good block myself, Jim Thacker.
It seemed to be going up, Bill, looking back on the slow motion, which is an advantage that the officials do not have, but it was goaltending on the call. 91-89, North Carolina State is in the lead by 2 points. Now Maryland will have to try and come from behind. Under, and it's Owen Brown who ties it up.
Jim, we get down to the point now where if one team has themselves in a position to hold the ball, we have to say who's in the best position to do that. Right now, we're going to see NC State doing it. Now, why I think they're in the best position is the fact that they have a threesome that can all handle the ball. A Maryland player will have to come out and handle one of those 3 tough ones. Maryland's going to try to do it with the 1-3-1 zone press. They've used this effectively, came back from 9 down against UCLA using this 1-3-1 half-court zone press. So before they're going to commit man-to-man, they're going to go with a half-court zone.
There's one of the best little ball handlers against any press, you'll see, Monty Tao. We'll keep you posted on the time. 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The score is tied.
Norm Sloan was hoping, of course, beautiful play by Monty Tao and Tommy Burleson. Norm Sloan was hoping that Maryland would attack with a man-to-man defense. They didn't. But you'll see that State now will probably try to hold on to the ball if they get the lead again.
North Carolina State is in the lead by 2 points, 93-91. A near steal by David Thompson with 3 minutes and 23 seconds to go. Now possession of the ball becomes more important because of the time element. 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
That was a real strategic move by Norm Sloan to try to hold the ball this early in the game.
That's McMillan. Tied it up. They kept working on McMillan. 93-93. Tie score for the 4th time.
Jim, one of the things that this does, coming so early in the ball game, that it's certainly, that was a beautiful pass by Burleson. It helps Maryland in one respect. It slows down the tempo of the game, so that if they do have to go out man-to-man, they should be somewhat refreshed.
95-93. State again in the lead by 2 points.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see State go zone either if they get an opportunity to have the ball and the lead.
A steal by Spence. That could be a crucial turnover with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to go. North Carolina State has the ball now with the lead, 95-93.
Here's a case where the lob pass can get you in a lot of trouble, and Monty Tao is the kind of guy that has a lot of guts to take it in there.
Here's Burleson, the big man all evening. Gets a whistle. There's a personal foul on Owen Brown. He's out of the game. So Brown fouls out of the game with 2 minutes and 12 seconds to go. He scored 14 points. Lefty Driesell has Tom Roy up. Remember, Roy has 4 fouls. We're not in a situation now where the foul situation is as crucial as it appeared earlier in the game because the tempo of the game now has changed drastically. And we're more in a stalling game right now.
What Lefty is telling Tom Roy right now is to make sure he doesn't commit an unnecessary foul. He'd like to keep Tom Roy in the game, but I think even more importantly, Jim, if NC State maintains the lead, Lefty will have to make a move with a smaller man anyway, so it's not going to hurt him as much now as it would have earlier in the ball game. There's Owen sitting down. The fella had a great tournament.
Here's Tommy Burgess, who has 34 points, but this is his first free throw of the night.
I tell you, the big guy has a pretty good touch, and he looked very determined up there on the foul line.
3-point lead by North Carolina State, 96-93. 4-point lead, 97-93 for North Carolina State. Maryland has already broken the scoring record for this Atlantic Coast Conference tournament. Here's a whistle. The foul's on Mo Rivers for holding. That's the second on Rivers. That's only the fourth team foul of this half against North Carolina State. 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go.